Okay, hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much. Okay, I've just had a quick chance to walk around and meet some of you. If I can just try and remember, have we got anyone from Denmark here? Half of the room is from Denmark. We've got Denmark in the middle. Welcome. What about from British universities? Quite a, yay. Quite a broad range of British universities. Blackboard is all at the back. Welcome. Any other groups here today? Any from schools, or is it mostly universities and Blackboard? From? The Netherlands. Oh, from the Netherlands. Sorry, I missed the Netherlands. Welcome. But generally, it's a further education group that we've got in here today, I think. Okay. I'd like to start off. Welcome to our presentation, Flip Learning, Innovating and Educating Generation Y and Z Students. My name's Caroline Fell-Kurban. I'm the Director of the Centre for Excellence in Teaching and Learning at MEF University. My job looks at instructional design, teacher training, and the delivery of flipped learning. And I'm here with Professor Mohammed Shahin, who is the Rector of MEF University. I'm a little bit nervous, sorry about this. Okay. I'm going to start the presentation off today talking about the general idea of flipped learning and also how we chose Blackboard as our learning management system. Then I'm going to hand over to Mohammed, who will talk about how we integrated flipped learning into MEF University and the successes that we are currently seeing. Okay, I'd like to start off talking about Jane, or talking about distraction. Distraction is a big issue for our students today. This is Jane, and she represents our Generation Y students. This will be my daughter in a few years. She's just a few years younger than this. In Jane's life, we have lots of distractions. We have boyfriends. Apologies, I used Justin Bieber. But we have boyfriends. We've got makeup. We've got cupcakes. We've got iPhones. We've got the latest trainers. And right down in the corner here, we've got education. This is a very small part of her life at the moment. So in Jane's life, we have a battle of distractions between all of her different interests. Not unlike us here today. It's not just Generation Y. I'm sure during this session, some of you will be tweeting. Some of you will be checking your Facebook. Some of you will be checking the newspaper headlines. So this is a normal part of our reality today, distraction. Okay, and overload. These days, knowledge, I find this an incredible fact, knowledge is doubling every 18 months. What was relevant 10 years ago may no longer be relevant today. Our students can't keep pace with this amount of information, they simply get overloaded. So imagine that we're lecturing our students non-stop for 50 minutes. We need to ask ourselves, would this really work? Would students really listen for 50 minutes without being distracted by their phones and by the other things in their minds? Will you be able to listen for 50 minutes without being distracted by your iPhones and other things? I think the answer is no. So, how do we cut through the distraction? How can we cut through these issues? Our students are distracted, and they're also overloaded. So what will cut through these distractions? We need to go from distraction to connection. And as educators, there are two things that we need to do. So cut through this distraction, connect them to the lectures, connect them to education. Let's think about connecting with the subject. Back to Jane again. This is her life. This is her interests. I got rid of Justin Bieber. I couldn't keep it for the rest of it. But we've got makeup and then content in her education. We've got her iPhone, content in her education. The latest trainers, content in education. Cupcakes and content in education. So to grab Jane's attention and to engage her, we need to make connections between her interests, or we could call them her distractions, and also the content of the subject. So we need to turn her interests into a conduit for learning. So moving from what she knows and what interests her, making connections with the new knowledge and subjects. moving back to what she knows and interests her, making connections to the subject. So we're moving together in a mutually beneficial, enjoyable way. And by doing this, Jane can see how the subject has personal relevance to her and personal relevance to her life. We also need to understand that Jane is a social creature. She's connected to many, many people in her life. She has her friends, she has her family, she has her classmates, and she also has her instructors. So we need to ask ourselves, how can we get... Jane also connects to all of these people through iPhones, through a laptop, through social media, and face-to-face, of course. So how can we get Jane connected with her lectures in the way she wants and using the technologies that she is already using? On average, these days, teenagers like Jane use 4 to 5 devices at the same time. Who's got more than one device in front of them at the moment? Who's got 2 devices in front of them? Who's got 3 devices? Wow. Who's got 4? No, we've stopped at 3. But it's not uncommon to have 2 or 3 devices in front of us at the same time. So we need to understand how to connect Jane's learning to our students' learning through this technology. Okay, so to sum up, as we've seen, our students are distracted. They have lots of things going on in their lives. Secondly, they're overloaded with knowledge that is increasing at an exponential rate. And thirdly, they are digital natives. Now, I'm going to ask a question that some of you may not like. Who here is Generation X, would you say? I'm a Generation X. Who here is a boomer? Who here is Generation Y? Not me. Welcome. Any Generation Z? You shouldn't be here. You should be at school. So we've got a range of ages here, and with our different ages, we have a range of backgrounds with regards to technology. Who's on Facebook? Who's on Twitter? Who's on Instagram? Who's on, what else have I got? Vine. Okay, so we've got Pinterest. Okay, so we've covered most of those there. So our students are digital natives. I'm not. I'm a digital immigrant. I was chatting to Nur, I don't think she's in here, earlier today, talking about when I was at university. When I was at university, I did my entire dissertation on a word processor that had 4 lines of text that I could see, and that was it. And that was the most cutting-edge technology at that time. Today, it's very, very different. I also talked about doing a distance degree, master's degree, that finished in 2005. And that distance degree from Aston University in England, they posted spiral-bound photocopies of articles to me in Istanbul. And I typed my articles, and I posted them back to the UK. And then they recorded onto a dictaphone, a little cassette, and they posted it back to me. And I listened to the feedback on a dictaphone. That's only 2005. So things have moved on very, very quickly. So, overloaded with knowledge, distracted, and they're digital natives. So for today's education, we need to bring these together. Okay. So in order to overcome these 3 issues, at MEF University, we've decided to implement the flipped classroom approach. But first, what do I mean by flipped classroom? So we've got 2 images here. In the first one, we've got before class. So we have online lectures, we have interaction, and we have homework, if we can call it homework. But this takes place before the class. And this will take place on a learning management system, which we're going to talk about a bit later. Afterwards, we've got in class, we have discussion, application, and case studies. So that's the big picture of flipped learning, but we're going to look at some of the stages that we go through. Okay. In the first stage, students start with remembering and understanding knowledge, and this is something that they can learn on their own before coming to the classroom. For simple facts and knowledge, you do not need a teacher at this stage. So students can use this time alone at home, in a cafe, with their friends. This can be done outside the classroom. So the instructor is not necessary at this stage. In later stages of the process, in the second picture here, the role of the teacher is critical. This is because the students analyse, they apply and they evaluate the knowledge that they've gained before coming to the classroom, and then they put it into practice. And this is where students need the support of their instructors. In the flipped learning approach, the student has 3 roles. The first role is to prepare before class. They have to watch the videos, they have to read the information, they have to interact with it. The second role is to develop collaborative skills, 21st century skills they need to be using to interact with their classmates and to interact with the instructor. And the third is they need to put into practice what they have learned. And this could be through business cases, it could be through designing prototypes or designs. So that's the role of the student. They have 3 things they have to do. So what's the role of a flipped educator? In flipped learning, as an educator, it means no longer seeing your role as the sage on the stage. You're no longer driving the lectures. Now you're a guide on the side. Now, what this means is that the students are now taking centre stage in flipped learning, not the instructor. So this means an instructor's role really changes. You're there to guide, you're a support, you're a facilitator. You're there to give feedback, you're there to nudge them in the right direction and be available to answer questions should they need. Whereas the students need to be involved in discussions, in debate, in design, in experimentation. They are the active players in this. Okay, the first stage of this is for instructors to create a video, like Chris is doing at Derby University, and he reckoned I wouldn't remember his name or where he came from. Did I get that right? Oh, where's the Turkish Delight? Can we get it back? Good. Okay. Sorry about that. So the first stage of this, is for instructors to create a video. But what's the role of the videos? The main purpose of the videos is like saying, what's the big idea here? I have this idea. I need to get this hook into the students. I need to get this hook into the students' minds with the videos and then reel them in. So our videos are about big ideas, big concepts. Now, normally a traditional lecture would be 2 hours long. So we may think that the videos should go on for 2 hours, but really there's a different approach to the videos in this. We're in fact taking the key concepts of a lecture, and we'll never exceed 20 minutes with this. In fact, we try to break them down into smaller videos for single concepts. This brings me on to the role of the learning management system in the flipped classroom model. First of all, the instructors upload the videos onto the LMS. Then the students watch the videos and we hook them in. And now as instructors, we need to get our students to interact with the material, both by themselves and with their classmates. Again, this is collaborative learning. It should not just be one individual student watching the information. They need to be interacting with others to build their ideas, to build their knowledge. So in order to do this, the instructors set up communication forums such as discussion boards or wikis for their students to pose questions, answer questions, and share ideas. And this forum is by the students and it's for the students. The instructor may post some questions there, but this is not for 30 students to write to the instructor and get answers back. This is for the students to start the conversation themselves, to start thinking about things before they come to class. So we try and, in this forum, we try to encourage the students to work out the answers to the questions between themselves and in advance of class. For the instructor, this means there's the opportunity for just-in-time teaching. So before a class, I can get onto the discussion forum, I can read the questions and the discussion and the answers that my students have been involved in. I can see what they've understood, I can see areas of misunderstanding, I can see areas where we need to develop it further. If they've got the concept, then we don't need to spend much time on that in the classroom. If they haven't, then that's the area we need to develop it in. Okay, so to wrap up, through using the learning management system, through using collaborative channels, we're growing knowledge collaboratively, and that's our aim here. Okay, so at MEF University, our learning management system that we use is Blackboard. Why? Blackboard provides us with a secure, easy-to-use, closed system on which our videos and materials are uploaded and the communication tools are used. We went through a long process trying to decide which learning management system we would use. First of all, we asked our faculty members about what's really essential, and we prioritized our needs to fit the flipped classroom needs. These are the biggies. I mean, we had a big, long list of needs that we looked at, but as a university, security is incredibly important. Also, it needs to be user-friendly, not just for the students, but also for the instructors, most of whom are not generation, what are we on now? Y. We're talking about X and the boomers and above. So we are not digital natives, and we can take longer to feel more comfortable in these environments. We were looking for a company, or a learning management system company, that's well established. We're a new university. We opened in September, and Mohammed's going to talk about this more. We needed to see a company with a good, strong track record of providing learning management systems in universities. Communication channels, that's extremely important for us. In flipped learning, you're in a partially online environment. You're also in a face-to-face environment. You need to bring these together. So the communication channels are important. And also, from a pedagogical point of view, we want to input and track learning outcomes. And this has the facility. So these were our 5 big priorities. After we'd created this list, our rector, Mohammed, asked us to put together a team. We got people representing each of the faculties at the university so we could look at the different needs. And we invited in lots of the learning management system companies. We interviewed them, we went through the products, and we came to the conclusion that Blackboard satisfies all the conditions we were looking for in one product. In fact, Blackboard was the only company that satisfied all of the conditions that we were looking for. Okay. I have a video to summarize. We've integrated flipped classroom approach into our university. I'm going to show you a video through the eyes of our students, through the eyes of our instructors, on how flipped learning works. After the video, Mohammed, you're going to talk more about how we've implemented flipped learning at the university. Here we go.
This generation of students, as we know from educators, is a digitally native generation. They're very comfortable with, again, manipulating information on a screen. So what we've done as a program is to design videos that they watch at home, and then they answer questions online so that they're given that knowledge, and then when we come in, we help them to develop the skills that they need. And so, for example, some of the productive skills that we're helping them to develop are done through, discussion, debate, group projects, gamification, and things like this. What we're trying to do is we're trying to bridge the gap between their ability to consume information and then their ability to talk about the information that they've consumed in a coherent and an intelligent way.
Learning, students carry out lower-level cognitive tasks on their own before coming to class. These are basic tasks such as remembering and understanding. And so once in the classroom, students can concentrate on higher-level and more complicated cognitive tasks such as applying, analyzing, critically evaluating, and creating. At MEF University, following flipped classroom, we transfer knowledge to students before class through course videos prepared by professors and other supporting materials which are all made digitally available. This way, direct instruction is taken outside the classroom, and the classroom itself is transformed into this exciting, dynamic, and interactive group learning environment and an indirect instruction space.
Different education systems in our university. Teachers make videos and upload, and we watch them before we come to class, and so with that we can be prepared for the class.
You're doing your own job like you're gonna do in real life. It's really different, engaging, enrolling, and it's pretty easy to use.
I already know the subjects, and I already know my weaknesses about the subject.
My experience with flipped classroom since I joined MEF University has confirmed all these positive aspects associated with flipped learning. I have realized that students learn and engage far more effectively in an interactive flipped environment.
Okay. Did you like the video? So you are the first people who have seen the video. Because we just prepared the video before we came here. Just for you. After your feedbacks, we will update the video when we go back home. And put it on YouTube, of course. So in Turkey, there are 2 million students every year who would like to go to the universities in Turkey. There's a centrally organized an exam. 2 million people take this exam. It has 2 steps. And first 1 million is eliminated from the first exam. And remaining 1 million take the second exam to go into a 4-year program into the Turkish universities. And of course, after they finish the exams, they ask questions themselves. Which job I have to select? Which university I have to go? Usually depending on their grades they receive from the exam, they may change their job. So it is a very hard choice for them. There are 53 universities in Istanbul. 38 of them are foundations. So there are 2 types of universities, public and foundations. You can call private. But by law, we don't have private universities. Overall, in Turkey, there are 184 universities and 72 foundation universities. We received our first students in September 2014. So our vision, educate innovative and entrepreneurial global leaders to shape the next 100 years. So I didn't put here mission because I don't believe in mission. Always you can change the mission. So we only use vision. We have a vision before we establish this university. So this is our first year success. There are 2 criteria in Turkey when you want to analyze the success of the university, mainly the foundation universities: fill rate ratio and the quality of the students. In the first year, we became the 2nd in Istanbul and the 3rd in Turkey among 38 foundation in Istanbul and 68 in Turkey in terms of fill rate ratio. And again, we became second in Istanbul and third in Turkey, again among foundation universities in terms of top 10% students. First 100,000 students, in other words. So this is a good success for the first year. Academic leadership. I'm the rector of the university. Before I took this position, I was the rector of Istanbul Technical University. That was founded in 1773. So I was the rector of this university between 2008 and 2012. I have two vice rectors. Again, first one is from my previous university. He was my vice rector as well. And the second one, Erhan Erkut, is also a founder of a new foundation university that was established in Istanbul 6 years ago. And the founder, Ibrahim Arikan, Dr. Ibrahim Arikan, his first job was to establish a prep school for the students who would like to go to the universities in 1972. So he is only the guy in Turkey among the other foundation universities who did his first job at education. Now he has 24 companies in Turkey and one holding sharing with French post office based in Germany. So before actually I accept this job, he offered me this job. And I said, and he asked me, there are many universities in Turkey and many in the world. Can you make a difference? I said, I need some time to think, because from previous job, it was almost very old university, 240 years old, Istanbul Technical University. But during that, my presidency time in my previous job, I just want to say my success in that university. Do you know ABET? Are there any engineers? ABET is Accreditation Board of Engineering Technology based in the US that accredits universities in engineering departments in the world. We applied when I became the rector of this university. My first decision was to apply for 23 programs, engineering programs, to get ABET accreditation. After our application, we received a mail from ABET headquarters. This is too many. You have to divide this into 4 or 5. You have to apply, every year with 2 or 3 departments. So far, we only have 19 departments accredited at most. So yours is 23. And I didn't listen to them, and we applied, and we got them all. So I too became the first in the world that has the most number of engineering departments accredited by ABET in ABET history. Well, actually, there's, I don't have time, but I can, in Turkey, in public universities, you have election, you are elected by the faculty members. I received 51% in the end, but the president of the country didn't appoint me because of political reasons. So therefore, I moved into this new university. Well, before we decided to use flipped classroom, we organized 2 workshops. One with the faculty members, from different universities in Istanbul who have PhDs abroad, mainly. So I collected only 25 of them, and we had a one-day workshop. And then I made a similar presentation. I said, we would like to establish this university with 3 different projects. The first one is flipped classroom. 80% of the faculty members, professors, rejected flipped classroom. And next week, we organized a similar workshop with only students who were studying in the very prestigious universities in Istanbul. Again, I collected 20 of them from different universities. 90% of them said, yes, this is it. Then after this workshop, the chairman of the board of trustees decided to go with flipped classroom. Caroline has already mentioned this. So flipped classroom is the first project we applied. So this is, you remember Bloom's taxonomy, starting from the bottom, easy level, remember and understand. So in traditional classroom, these 2 steps are carried out in the class. And the next 6, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create, are carried out by students at home with homeworks. And students are alone at home. They do this, they do homeworks on their own, or they copy, paste from the internet. So flipped classroom, in the flipped classroom, the first 2 steps are carried out at home. And the difficult part of the learning is carried out in class. Apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. So this is the main difference between these 2. So we have a studio in the university that records the course videos. So we set up some criteria for videos length. This is the main discussion in flipped learning education. We said if you have a 2-hour class, the maximum length of your video cannot be longer than 20 minutes. So ideally 10 to 12 minutes. If it is 3 hours, 25 minutes. So this is how the classroom looks like, and instructor is in the center of the classroom, as you can see. So everything you have seen here from presentations and from videos are real pictures from the universities. Apart from the first girl, Jane. Yeah?
Apart from Jane.
Yeah.
Who I copied off the internet.
Okay. So the final destination of learning is to create. So this can be carried out by flipped learning very easily. So the second approach we have, our second project is 3+2. That means 2 years, first 3 years students study at MEF, and the following 2 years in a partner university abroad, mainly in the US and UK. MEF gives bachelor of science degree, and partner university will give master degree. And the third, we have undergraduate education in Turkey takes 4 years. But we have 2 streams for the students. If they want to finish within 3 years, we can give them a 3-year timetable. In the 4th year, they can do their master degree without thesis. More than 55% of our faculty members receive their PhD abroad. We have a prep school. Again, our prep school is unique in Turkey. We don't have any Turkish instructor. Most of them are native. We have some from, do we have any Denmark or Holland? I think we have one from Netherlands.
One from the Netherlands, Brazil,
Yeah.
Australia, Canada, America.
So far we have 28 English instructor for 400 students. Overall, we have 500 students. So 400 of them went to the prep. So these are the faculties we have. We are located in the center, trade and business center of the city. Okay. Thank you. I think I finished on time. So we have some time. If you have any questions, I would like to invite you as well. Yes, please.
You mentioned digital natives earlier on, and normally when I say that, I get his stats. So they're obviously a really nice audience you've got here.
It's the Turkish Delight we handed out at the beginning. Bribed them.
Literally a sweetener.
Yeah.
Because I think that the idea of kind of using a homogenous term like that to describe students of whatever generation has been, to some extent, debunked, although I rather like it as a kind of shorthand. But the thing that I'm interested in is that I find my students from the same generation of yours have very, very patchy digital skills, and some of them are ready to embrace flipped methods, and others, particularly in my first years, are quite reticent and conservative in their views of what university ought to be. And I actually had a standoff with a group last year. Where we were doing some flip learning, and they were kind of folded arms, and I'm asking them to collaborate, and they're saying, well, we want you to tell us what the answer is. And I said, I'm here to make you think. I'm not here to make you think like me. And that was even more folded arms. So I guess what I'm asking you is do you find that, I mean, you say you surveyed your students, and 9% of them said yes, this seems like a good idea.
There were students from other universities before we opened this university.
So have your students got those skills?
Yeah. Can I say, before we have the students, we had 1 year to introduce our university outside of the campus. So we did it very well. In front of the press, we visited high schools to introduce, everybody knew that if they come to MEF University, the education system is based on the flipped classroom. And that includes the faculties as well. On the contract we make with the faculties, so we have one item. The faculty member will teach their courses based on the flipped classroom. Otherwise, this is the main excuse to terminate the contract. Yes, if they don't use it. So we didn't have many problems, because everybody, including faculty members, staff members, they knew that there's a different system here. Of course, behind this system, so almost everybody in Turkey in higher education knows me. And they know our founder as well.
So because people had signed up to that, you didn't encounter that resistance?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, there is resistance. I think we have, because we're a brand new university that's launched ourselves as Flip, as being blended learning, as using a learning management system, we have less issues than if you're an institution that's trying to migrate towards that. So we have that as an advantage. But going back to your original point, and I think there are two threads in there, yeah, digital native, it's an interesting one, because what we've learnt is that our students may socially be on, work through social media, etc. They're not used to learning through it. And so we need to integrate a lot more learner training. And this is something I'm working on at the moment with regards to an orientation week at the beginning. Every single course, we're looking at doing getting started videos, how to approach this course through a flipped learning lens. So you can't just guess because they're used to technology, they know how to learn through it. You have to train them. The second one is another biggie, especially in Turkey, because the Turkish education system, K through 12, really is jug to mug. Remember, regurgitate, recall.
Too many examinations.
It's exam-based. The whole thing is exam-based. I'm teaching an elective course for first-year students at the moment called New Media Literacy Skills. And all of these things are coming up in this. Is that the students are coming to me, what grade did I get? What grade did I get? When we're talking about show me. Let's use these skills. Let's put them into practice. There also is the expectation, you're the teacher, why aren't you telling me? So again, it comes back to learner training both in technology and learner training into Bloom's taxonomy, into what learning means these days, and what the takeaway is, which is creation. Okay. We're looking for creation. But good questions. Okay. Yeah, they come up.
Okay, and I have a few words for Blackboard. Caroline didn't say that.
Sorry, I didn't.
When in the beginning of our decision stage, we analyzed many LMS systems. First time FICA, this is Ola. Can you show up yourself? She came to me with her colleague and explained the Blackboard. It took us almost 2 hours, and some other LMS systems came to me as well, and without my staff members, including Caroline. And I made my decision, said, okay, we will go with Blackboard. I visited almost web pages of all other LMS systems. Caroline said, and her colleagues, Mohammed, don't make the decision on your own. So there are better LMS systems. I said, I have seen all of them. So they asked me to form a committee. Okay, I said, I'll form a committee, but I am sure you will come, in the end, you will come with the Blackboard. And from time to time, they suggest me with different LMS systems. After 2 months, so they spent 2 months, they said, okay, this is it. We have to go with Blackboard. Okay. So any other questions? Okay.
So you are in a new university, but being a former rector of a traditional university, how difficult you believe it will be to implement the classroom in a traditional university? Because that will be a transformation. Sometimes it's easier to do something new than to transform the old one.
Well, I didn't try in my traditional university, but I did some challenges in my previous university as well. ABET history was a challenge for ITU. You have to put some incentives. If you work for a public university, a traditional university, and if you want to make some changes, revolution, you cannot force people. You cannot force students. What you can do is you can put incentives. For instance, in my previous university, if I want to make something, and if I got support from the faculties, I used to say, okay, everybody can attend one conference, an international conference, a year. Those who support can have 2. So that worked. But as MEF, this is a new university, so I didn't have this kind of problems here.
It's a massive advantage to bringing in a new
Yeah.
system. Massive advantage.
Okay. Any more questions? I think we have the largest number of audience this afternoon. Okay, thank you.